Hello, everybody.
State of Kansas versus Lamont Ziner, 24 TR 63. Would counsel state their appearances, please?
May it please the court, the state appears by Judge Gillette, County Attorney.
And you're Lamont Ziner, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we come before the court today. This was set as a status conference. I don't see the date or the journal entry from the first appearance. Counsel, do you have that?
Judge, I believe I've been preparing it. I don't know if it went through or not.
All right. There was an application for court-appointed counsel that was submitted, Mr. Ziner. You do not appear to meet the criteria for that. I looked at it again. When I read it, I thought you had listed value property of $140,000.
No,
What is what is that property's actual value?
14,000.
All right. What type of property are we talking about?
It's a single family home.
Do you live there?
No, I stay in the other stay in the motel.
So is it vacant?
No, it's not vacant, but I mean, nobody's staying there. I go down there on the weekends and wash my clothes.
Okay. So it doesn't sound like it's a homestead. You also indicated you had a monthly income of $2,000 a month, which does not qualify you just on income alone. You list a dependent as fiance. Is this an adult?
Yes.
Well, an adult fiance would not be a dependent, sir. So how is it that you're wishing to proceed? Are you going to hire an attorney? Or are you going to represent yourself?
Well, I guess I have to hire an attorney. And I priced some and they wanted $1,500 to $3,000. I don't got that kind of money. I live week to week.
Well, you have a piece of property that's worth $14,000, you indicate, that you don't live at.
Yeah, but what happens when I get fired? Where am I go then?
Well, that's a big what if. Are you doing something that's going to get you fired?
No, but they're slowing down on work and they told me we might get laid off.
Have you done anything in regards to you can take a loan or something on that property?
I can't get a loan.
Why?
My credit's bad.
Well, have you looked at selling it? I mean, if you're not living in it, what's the circumstance of having it?
Well, when I get my license back or I get laid off, I have to live somewhere, so I live there. I mean, I'm only staying here because I don't have a driver's license. I'm trying not to drive, and that's the only way I could do it.
Now, you might not want to make any statements that might be used against you in your trial. You're charged with driving while suspended. Counsel, let me ask this. The complaint charges a first offense. When I was reviewing the bond, the officer or somebody had written it up as a third offense. The affidavit indicated there have been prior situations. Do you know where he stands? Is this a first offense or a subsequent? Because it does make a difference on his charges.
Yes, Judge, it's a subsequent. Mr. Ziner is familiar to the prosecution. He was declared a habitual violator on March 11th of 2024. He has 2 prior driving while suspended convictions.
All right. Mr. Ziner, when we did your first appearance, I was under the impression this was a first offense. That doesn't, from what I'm hearing, that doesn't appear to be accurate. A second offense or subsequent is a class A misdemeanor. That's punishable up to a year in the county jail and a fine not to exceed $2,500. Additionally, if it's a third offense, then there may be mandatory jail time towards that may not be necessarily you'd be able to be placed on probation from. So it gets it gets pretty significant as those rack up if you indeed have those convictions. Under the circumstances, I'm going to, I can't find based upon his income that he isn't, that he's indigent. I will make a finding that he is partially indigent, and I am going to order that he pay, a total amount to be determined, but at a later date. But I will appoint counsel for him if Mr. Signer is, if that's what you're still requesting. Are you asking for court-appointed counsel? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is there any reason that Mr. House might have a conflict?
I do not believe so.
All right. Mr. Ziner, Elk County contracts with Mr. House for misdemeanor offenses. So I'm going to appoint Gary House. His office is in Sedan. But I imagine you can look him up online and get his address, or there's a phone number for him. I don't know has he represented you in the past? Mr. Ziner, Mr. House represented you in the past?
No.
Okay.
He represented my ex-wife.
Okay, is that something that's still going on?
No.
You heard?
No, she's done with her time.
All right. Well, I haven't heard anything that would appear to disqualify Mr. House. So I will appoint Mr. House to represent you. Counsel, as we're now getting counsel appointed as of today, I'm inclined to set this for a pretrial unless the defendant is requesting that we go ahead and schedule this for trial. Mr. Ziner?
He's already set for the jury trial dates in October on
Who's counsel on that?
Mr. Paw, because Mr. Paw has the misdemeanor contract in Greenwood, because he has a case in Greenwood that's for driving while suspended. So he's already set for jury trial in September 30th is the pre-trial, and the trials following on that first date in October.
Mr. Ziner, as you've asked for a
Yes, sir.
jury trial apparently on another case, what I propose to do is set this for a hearing date in approximately 30 days or so to give you an opportunity to consult with Mr. House. And then at that hearing, you can advise me, or Mr. House can advise me how you wish to proceed. If you're wanting a trial, if it's been worked out, if you're wanting a jury trial or a bench trial, things to that effect. Sarah, could you give us a date in approximately 30 days, please? And it can be a Zoom hearing.
Yes, sir. We can do May 29th at 2 p.m.
May 29th at 2.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Ziner, please understand, court-appointed counsel doesn't necessarily mean free counsel. So you might want to start putting some money back towards attorney's fees, okay?
Okay. I quit driving, so.
Okay, so May 29th at 2 is your next hearing. You need to contact Mr. House once we're done. He'll be requesting some paperwork, I'm sure from the county attorney's office. So May 29th at 2, and be sure that Mr. House has a way of contacting you at all times as well. Okay. All right. Thank you. With that, we are adjourned. This matters.
And now we're going to go to his update.
All right. This is State of Kansas versus Lamont Signer, case number 24TR63. Would counsel state their appearances, please?
May it please the court, the state appears by Jill Gillette, County Attorney.
Your Honor, the defendant appears by Gary House, his attorney, and defendant appears separately by Zoom.
All right. There appears there's an amended complaint filed today's date alleging that it's a driving while suspended, a third or subsequent event of the Class A non-person misdemeanor. Are there any announcements at this time?
That's what you get here.
Yes, Your Honor.
I let-
Go ahead, Ms. Gillette.
I let Mr. House know that it was a third or subsequent earlier today.
Okay.
And Your Honor, with that information, that's why I went into the breakout room with my client and we discussed it. And Ms. Gillette and I had some plea discussions this morning. So I think we have an agreed disposition of this case wherein my client is going to enter a no contest plea to the amended complaint, count 1, charging driving while suspended, third or subsequent, an A misdemeanor. And we would stipulate to a factual basis for that plea, and we would want to make a statement concerning disposition before the court sentences.
All right. Is there an agreement between the parties for sentencing recommendations?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And what would
The
those be?
agreement is that he receive an underlying 90-day jail sentence with a $300 fine, 6 months probation with court services, and we're going to recommend his responsibility on the attorney fee be $200. He's got substantial amounts that he needs to pay on previous traffic cases as well as this case. He does have a job now with Cobalt and has worked there for 4 months.
And Ms. Gillette, is that your understanding of the agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Ziner, have you heard what the attorneys have told me?
Yes, sir.
And is that correct that at this time you wish to change your plea to no contest?
Yes, sir.
Before you do that, do you understand that with a plea of no contest, you'd be waiving your right to a trial?
Yes, sir.
You understand that while there's an agreement to make recommendations to the court for sentencing, I'm not required to follow those recommendations. I could sentence you, the maximum available for a Class A misdemeanor is up to a year in the county jail and a fine not to exceed $2,500. Not saying that's what I'll do. I'm not saying I won't follow the recommendations, but you need to understand I'm not required to follow those recommendations. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Very well. Are you under the influence of any medications or intoxicant at this time?
No, sir.
Have you had, has anybody forced or coerced you in some fashion to this plea?
No, sir.
Have you had enough time to discuss this with Mr. House and get his advice on how to proceed?
Yes, sir.
Very well. In that case, on the amended charge of the subsequent, how do you plead?
No contest.
Very well. And it's my understanding the defense is stipulating to a factual basis. Count, is the state agree to that as well?
We do, Your Honor. We would offer the affidavits.
Very well.
And we agree to it, Your Honor.
I do find that there's a factual basis that the plea, for the plea, there's also a, it was a knowingly and voluntarily entered waiver of his right to a trial, and with the advice of good counsel. So I do find him guilty. There is a sufficient factual basis to where a fact finder, jury, or court could find the defendant guilty. Counsel, is there any additional statements to make? I will ask, is this a third offense or a subsequent, and what that number is?
It's third.
Third, okay. Is there any additional statements that either side wish to make?
Judge,
We're
just
just
go ahead.
go with the agreement of the parties. With this being his third, he is working now and kind of wanting to lose his job due to his working. And I know he is now staying over near where he works in a different town. So we've taken that also into consideration.
Okay, Mr. Ziner, is there any statement that
Yes,
you'd
sir.
like to make before I pronounce sentence?
I gave my cars to the impound yard, so I don't have no vehicles left anymore. And I don't plan on driving for the 3 years I suspended for. I don't have no cars left.
Well, I'd say that's a good start. Sometimes people are that way though, and they get another one or use somebody else's. So I am prepared to sentence. I will sentence you to 90 days in the county jail. I'll assess a fine of $300. I will place you on probation, reporting probation for a period of 12 months. However, if you successfully complete, have everything done, everything paid by 6 months, then I would consider closing this early. If you completed everything, don't have any pending motions to revoke or anything to that effect. I will assess a $200 attorney fee. Court costs are assessed to you as well. There looks like he was arrested, so should be a processing fee. I believe that's $45.
And there would be a probation fee of 60, Judge.
And a probation fee of $60. And Mr. Ziner, the conditions of your probation are going to be the standard Elk County conditions. You're not to, but primarily it's not to violate the law. And that includes driving without, with a suspended license, or when you don't have a license that you can drive on.
Yeah, my girlfriend's giving me a ride now everywhere I go.
If he needs to transfer to Wilson County, Your Honor, especially since he doesn't have a license, sometimes they do see the probationers at Cobalt because they hire enough of them. I don't have an objection to him being transferred to the 31st, but he'll have to meet here first.
Right. Mr. House, anything further?
The only thing, in looking at my notes on what Ms. Gillette and I had talked about, we did have condition of probation that he not drive for 12 months. And I think he's pretty well saddled with not driving for 3 years. So we don't object to that condition, and I'm not trying to forget it. That's why I'm bringing it up.
All right. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Ziner?
I come back to Howard on the weekends, so because I'm off work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but I come back on the weekends to check on my dogs.
Very well. I'm going to, I will approve a transfer to Wilson County if it's recommended by the local probation officer and if Wilson County will receive him. Now, Mr. Ziner, the thing with people with driving while suspended, and you've got 3 of those now, and you at some point, my philosophy is kind of, what you're facing, and if you're making the choice to violate the law, then you're just kind of telling the court that you're going to do what you're going to do. And I kind of figure sometimes, well, probation's not really affected. You need to understand that if you violate the terms of the probation, then you may very well be revoked and ordered to serve the whole 90 days. So if that helps you make sure that, to keep you from violating, hopefully it will, because, you do have a 90-day sentence over your head. I am placing you on probation at this time. Well, counsel, we don't have a mandatory minimum, do we, of 5 days on this?
I looked, and the mandatory minimums come with suspension for refusal for breath test. There's like a very specific list. There used to be a 5-day mandatory on thirds, but they changed it.
Right.
And so I did verify that before we came here today, Your Honor.
Very well. All right. Anything further?
I don't plan on driving again.
Well, that's good. At least until you got your license back. Very well.
Yes.
If there's nothing further, this matter is adjourned and the parties are free to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Be safe. Be well, sleep sweet, and much love.